Here we go. It's Eric, owner of the Rusty Rabbit. Now we're going to get into the real meat of the system. The Bosch Fuel Distributor System, CIS' heart or brains of a mechanical system. This is what it looks like on your car. Your air filter sits under here. Your fuel line's coming out of the top and out of the sides of this thing. Let's break it down and show you what exactly these parts do and what they mean. This is the fuel distributor itself. It looks rather unmenacing. But believe me, this little bugger not only will kill you if you try to take it apart, it's also extraordinarily expensive to replace. They're not made new anymore, especially the Bosch CIS systems. The CIS-E, I believe, you can still get from the dealership. But it costs you about half of what you paid for your car. And this is the heart of it. It's called a fuel metering rod. This rod sits in the bottom of your fuel distributor and controls the ins and outs. Fuel is let in and out of this system in different rates based on the system right there. That's all there is to it. Your 4 injectors, everything operates off of this. How does it get that reading? This is interesting. Your Bosch fuel distributor sits here. Your fuel metering rod sits down in there. What happens is, as air pushes past this plate, it raises up. You see that? The more air that gets pulled through, the higher that plate rises. As it rises, the plunger drops. Yes. No, the plunger is pushed in. The farther the plunger is pushed in, the less fuel, or the more fuel is going to get pulled into that system. The system usually requires no maintenance. However, if you've just changed your engine size or had a rebuild or replaced your injectors or any other part of your system, it's possible that the new ones won't have the same flow characteristics of the original. As far as maintenance goes, the only thing I would recommend is every once in a while you clean the tip of that plate and the barrel. When doing that, you might alter the flow characteristics. How do you repair that? Well, I don't have mine handy. But look closely right there. And with your fuel distributor still in place, you'll still have access to that hole right there. That is the CIS adjustment port. You want to take an Allen wrench. I think it's a 4. Stick it down in there with the car running, turn it, and I'm talking a little bit, 1/8 of an inch less. One direction or the other. You'll hear the car either starts to run poorer or run better. You want to get it by ear to the best it can run. Now, if you have access to a regular shop with something called a gas bench analyzer, the proper way to adjust that thing is to hook that thing up to a gas analyzer, start your car running, get it up to operating temperature, and adjust it from there. When you have an optimal mix, your emissions will be the lowest they can be, and your car will pass emissions and also be in good tune. For the average Joe like you and me, the way to do that is by ear. You adjust it by ear. When you hear it sounding great, good. Stop, pull it out. Go ahead, drive the car down the road, see how it feels. Feels good, leave it alone. Normally, if you haven't adjusted anything else on your system or replaced any major components or done an engine rebuild, there's no reason to make an adjustment to that system. Now, what are some problems you're liable to come into with a Bosch fuel distributor? Well, basically, they either work or they don't. It's possible you could get trash come up through the fuel tank, bypass your fuel filter, and get into that system, in which case you would want to remove it from the car and clean it out. You don't want to take a fuel distributor and drop it into a tank of harsh chemicals, though, as there are O-rings and gaskets inside of that thing that can be dissolved by some fuel solvents. A problem that a lot of Volkswagen enthusiasts run into when they buy a car that's sat for several years is this fuel plunger. The plunger sits in the bottom of this fuel distributor, and with the car sitting off for years and years and years, that distributor seizes up inside. What that means is it no longer moves up and down as the car needs it to run properly. And getting it out can be quite a task. Under no circumstances should you ever remove the screws that hold this thing together. You can take it apart, and you can put it back together, but you will never get it to not leak. I promise you. Professional Bosch engineers with the right equipment and the right torque settings, and all the things that they don't release to the general public are able to fix this. Here's another no-no. If you take one of these things off to clean it, and you manage to get this hardened steel piece out of there, and you clean it up and you polish it, and you notice you've scratched the living hell out of it getting it out, do not think you can replace this with one from another car. Fuel will leak past this. It is a laser die cut machined piece. It fits perfectly only in the unit that it came with. Any other, the tolerances will be different, the vehicle will run, but you'll be pouring gas into your air filter, and when that happens, you'll cause a fire and ruin that beautiful project car you've been working on. So that's the Bosch CIS fuel system. I've probably missed a few things here. I'm just going off the top of my head as far as diagnosing and repairing this system. But if anyone has any questions, you can always feel free to email me at emort007 at therustyrabbit.com. And now, also, I've opened up new forums that have a help fix it site. You can also go there, post a message just like you can at all these other sites, and get some help from other Rusty Rabbiteers out there, right? So the next part of the system we're going to get into is fuel injectors themselves. Very simplistic system. The injectors are just so simple, no electricity going to them, plunger operated. It all has to do with how much pressure is applied to the injector as to how much it's going to spray. So join me in part, I can't remember how many parts there's been already. We'll get into Bosch fuel injectors.